Welcome to the City Council meeting of July the 25th, 2022. In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that the Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right. The order of business of the City Council is as follows. The clerk will read the items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item should come forward after the clerk reads that item. The council may require a member of the public to desiring to address the council to identify themselves, the name of an organization or a group that they represent, their address, and that's it. Unless, of course, the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. The applicant will make one short rebuttal after all of the testimony has been presented. Each speaker should begin by stating their name and address. The testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker, and after all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. Today is the last Monday of the month, immediately prior to the adjournment, and after all items have been heard, anyone may come forward to speak on an issue not on the agenda today or not planned for a future agenda. Will the clerk please read the first item of business?
Our first item of business for our council meeting on Monday, July 25th, 2022 is our consent agenda, sections 1 and sections 2.
All right. Anyone wishing to come forward to speak on any of those items?
Brian Willard, 110 Q Street, former employee of the Salvation Army who worked with Sarah Hoyle and Jenny Ryan on behalf of the Salvation Army for JBC and Keno grants. I see that 1A is approving distribution of funds, idle funds that includes Keno grant money of $178. And then 1B is Lincoln Electrical Systems financial and operating statement. I dealt with a lot of utility assistance. Headache, I wish I never did, but anyway, so I'm gonna talk about those. I'm gonna tie it all in. Okay, the Salvation Army had lost their Keno grant prior to my employment there. That grant was supplying money for the Salvation Army's community center, as was the Joint Budget Committee money. Neither one of these grant contracts are enforced, and I'd like to share an internal email from the prior business administrator and the prior Salvation Army Lincoln Corps Major of Lincoln, Nebraska from 2016, dealing with these grants. Do you recall any JBC city county grants this year? I see utility assistance and food, no after school. Major James Pennington of Salvation Army Lincoln. Yes, it is technically supposed to be used for that and not after school. It's kind of one of those wink wink things, and that we get the money to be used for food and utility assistance. So he's talking about both of these JBC and Keno grants. So how reliable are these grants? Well, I have Executive Order 093607. This is one of the grant contracts that unfortunately went through while I was there, even though I explained to several people why I didn't think it should. The grant contract between the City of Lincoln and Salvation Army to provide a grant contract of Joint Budget Committee funds in the amount of $10,350 for utility assistance program. The grant contract's budget was $10,350 for the caseworker, $0 for direct assistance to individuals. The scope of services was to help 1,400 people and their utility program through your various grants and the United Way grants and everybody else. Actual number, 65. 65 and it's 1,400, at least that's what it says in the grant contracts. 65 LES bills were paid for that entire fiscal year, grand total $9,202.66, or $1,147.34 less than this JBC grant alone. The federal government also gives the Salvation Army $3,000, so it's 150% of the government's money would have funded direct assistance. the United Way's executive director is now on the Keno board. I know you guys all voted her through. I remember you said she did a good job with the Joint Budget Committee, and the Joint Budget Committee seems to be writing blank checks to people, so I don't agree with that. The United Way alone gave Salvation Army for this utility program that supplied $9,000 to people, $33,634, or 365% of the direct assistance to individuals. Altogether, these three contracts alone, but between the city, the state, the federal government, and the United Way, whose executive director is on your guys' boards for, I'm assuming the Keno board now, and I guess she gives advice to JBC. So you're talking about $46,984, or 5.1 times the amount of assistance given out. So about these committees in their own words, government, from your guys' websites, not your guys individually, but government is one of the key players in an important provision of human services for Lincoln and Lancaster County. The city and county oversee the distribution of city and county dollars for this purpose. Basically, they're saying that nonprofit organizations are more efficient. They're more expertise in this field. So I had no idea the government had comedians writing these descriptions, because that's not the case. I worked with grant contracts all the time. A lot of them, they spent 0% of the money. So if a grant contract spells out, like that prior email from the prior administration, who I didn't even know nothing about at the time, if the grant contract spells out that the money is supposed to be on XYZ, Lincoln Electrical Systems is a huge one it gets robbed from, that charity has no business saying, we don't like that, we're going to spend on ABC instead, because there's unintended consequences. Like when Black Hills Energy gives money to the Salvation Army, and we got people sleeping in their cars. I know you're going to call me for time, but
1 minute.
Oh, okay. And we got people sleeping in their cars because they're using the money on other things. I don't know what's going on with LES, but Black Hills actually reached back out to me. They apologized. They said there's 200 people being helped across the entire state of Nebraska with Black Hills Cares money. And I took that apology. It was fine. And they said so far this year, at the time it was like 8 months, they'd helped 1,500 people. So they were requiring the Salvation Army to do more. I said, well, what about this past decade? What about all those donations from all these people, on their utility bills and stuff like that? Are you going to refund any of that money? No answer. So utility assistance is a huge problem in this city because, it's not getting to the people that it's supposed to get to. And it's very hot outside, so I wish you guys would look into that. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brett. Anyone else to testify on consent items? Hearing none, let's proceed. Madam Clerk?
We can now vote on our consent agenda. I'll be calling item 1A, approving the distribution of funds representing interest earnings on short-term investments of idle funds during the month ended May 31st, 2022. Introduced by Shob.
So moved.
Second?
Second by Councilwoman Raybold. Let's vote.
Bowers,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. That concludes our consent agenda. We shall now move on to section 4, public hearing liquor resolutions. I'll be calling items 4A and 4B together. Item 4A is application of Everest Food Service and Catering LLC doing business as Boss's Pizza and Chicken in Lincoln for a Class A liquor license located at 1000 Saunders Avenue, and the related manager application of Bimby Rye.
Yeah, we applied this liquor license to just complement our regular menu. We run business like between 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning, and mostly we would like to have a bigger option for our customers during the dinner hours. And previous owner used to have a liquor license, so that's why I thought this is a good business for us to have that Class A liquor license.
Okay. Mr. Rye, would you mind, I think Madam Clerk would like you to take an oath.
Please raise your right hand. Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you just gave is the truth as you really believe it to be?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for talking about your business, sharing that with us. Does anyone have questions?
Address. Name, address.
Oh, name and address, please.
The business name is Everest Food Catering and Service LLC, DBA Boss Pizza and Chicken, Lincoln, 1000 Saunders Avenue, Lincoln, Nebraska 68521. And my name is Bim B. Rai.
I'm sorry. One more time. I didn't use. Just it was soft. I couldn't quite hear it. Just
The business name is.
no. Just your name is all.
My
yeah.
name is Bim B. Rai.
Thank you.
Ben B. Wright.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Does anyone have any questions for him? All right. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you for
coming
your
down.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item.
All right, I'll be calling item 4C and 4D together. Application of Enjoy 520 Inc. doing business as Itsumo Ramen for a Class I liquor license located at 1451 O Street, Suite 300, and the related manager application of Zenzo Lin. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth as you verily believe it to be?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
How are you? Hi, my name is Jin Zhongling. I'm the Isuma Ramen owner. So since COVID, we business is going down a little bit. So we apply to the liquor license to more sale. So we Norman is very good. Norman soup is very good. Yeah, it's all homemade. Yeah. So where can you guys go to try? Thank you.
Yes.
Hope approve.
Okay.
Thank you.
You for the invitation. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lin? All right. Thank you very much for coming down.
Thank you.
Next item.
I'll be calling item 4E, manager application of Caleb A. Perrine for Sam's West Inc., doing business as Sam's Club at 4873, located at 8480 Adamant Drive.
Is the applicant in the room? All right. Next item.
I'll be calling item 4F, manager application of Brian S. Farber for Walmart Inc., doing business as Walmart 3278, located at 8700 Andermatt Drive. Nope, you're okay.
What's that?
I don't have the swearing in, just a manager application. You're
Yes.
fine. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Brian Farber, 6400 Monarch Drive, on behalf of Walmart, 8700 Andermatt Drive.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Been with Walmart 20 years, ran
Wow.
4 different stores, second one here in Lincoln, and yeah, that's about it.
All right. Any questions, comments? All right. Thank you very much for coming down.
I'll be calling item 4G, application of Global Warming Inc., new business as The Mill for a special designated license to cover an outdoor area measuring approximately 55 feet by 124 feet at Innovation Campus at 2021 Transformation Drive on August 10th, 2022 from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Hi, Dan Sloan with The Mill Coffee and Tea.
Tamara Sloan.
Live at 405 South 28th Street. This is a special designated license application for our Innovation Campus store. We're planning a series of concerts out there this fall, but this is the first one. It'll be August 10. Food, music, family friendly, free to the public. Everybody's welcome. I know Councilman Shobe's been to one of our concerts over at the Telegraph District, and we think it's a great thing for the community, and we have lots of fun, and we'd love to do it out there.
We will fence, we greet everyone at the door, and we armband and ID everyone coming in as well. So it's, the website is nebraskabluegrass.com.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?
Is this just a one-time application?
This is a one-time. We have 2 more in, but you need to act on this one before we can get the other ones to
There-
kind of trigger,
There's
I
a
guess.
series of 3, once a month.
Okay,
It'll be the second Wednesday of August, September, and October.
good.
But today is just for the August one.
Just August.
Right.
All right. Councilman Show.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this will be similar to the ones in Telegraph? I heard you say bluegrass. so-
Correct,
Yes.
except bluegrass focused. And Ronnie Green's super excited because the first group's coming from Virginia, so.
And it'll be revolving, like bluegrass 1 month and something else a different
All
month?
three
or-
bluegrass.
All three
All three bluegrass.
All
Yep.
focused around bluegrass. Super fun groups.
Thank you.
Gonna be good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
Sound like
Appreciate
fun. Does anyone here today have any comments about any of the applications? Hearing none?
Madam Chair, seeing no one else coming forward, I'd like to make a motion for approval of items 4A through 4G.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Riggle. Let's call the vote.
Bowers.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Raybold. Yes. Schob.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Okay, that concludes our section 4. We'll move on to section 5, our public hearing resolutions. I'll be calling item 5A, accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for July 1st through July 14th, 2022.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Jamie Moore. Do I need to sign in?
Please do sign in, name, address.
My name is Jamie Moore, and my address is 1340 Manat, Lincoln, Nebraska 68521.
Welcome back, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. I'm super nervous.
Take a deep breath. It's okay.
Okay. So I'm just going to read and kind of revisit the email I sent to you guys. To whom it may concern, my name is Jamie Moore, and I'm responding to the letter I received saying that my claim is being recommended for denial by the City Attorney's Office. On June 14th, Officer Gruber, number 1856, and Officer Cranow, number 1811, showed up at my residence of 1340 Manat Street to do a drug court check on my significant other, Matt. My blue fawn American bully, who was 5, ran out the door and started barking at the officers. I was right behind her and could have grabbed her and got her back into the house, but the officers shot her. Per Sergeant Romshek, Diva didn't do anything wrong. She was just doing dog stuff, were his exact words to me. She didn't bite either officer, but he also said to me that he believed the officers didn't do anything wrong either. And I understand they were no doubt scared and acted accordingly, but the fact of the matter is, as a result of them being scared, they paralyzed my dog that I had to put down as a result of a bullet being lodged in her spine. And so my attorney, as well as Sergeant Romchek, told me to file a claim to be repaid for the property damage, since by law my dog, who was like my child, I had to put down as a result of a bullet being lodged in her spine. And so I'm asking to be reimbursed for the dog I had to put down and the vet bills as a result of the shooting and the cost of the new puppy. I was told by my attorney, Carlos Monzon, that I would only be able to recover property damage. And at this point, I'd be okay with just the cost of Diva, which was $2,500, and the vet bills, which was $725.15, and not the cost of the new puppy. I am not allowed to get my dog's remains until the rest of the vet bill is paid. And Matt paid $234 on it, and there's still almost a $500. It's $495.15. But they won't even give me my dog's remains back until that is paid. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I understand that Diva didn't do anything wrong, and the officers may have not done anything wrong either, but they took my dog from me. And I understand it all. I just think that I should be reimbursed for her and the vet bills.
Okay. Thank you for coming forward. What will happen now is that we'll hear if anyone else has another claim that they'd like to dispute. We'll move down the rest of the resolutions. When we come back to vote on the resolutions, we'll have a conversation up here. And at that point, you'll find out whether or not we removed your claim from the denied list. And if so, then the claim will be settled. But if we've left it on the denied list, then it is finished.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, oh, wait a second, I think we have a question.
Had a quick
Councilman
question.
Bowers.
I just wanted to be clear. You cannot get your dog's remains back until you paid off the $700 bill.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have a dispute on this claims against the city? Okay. Then let's move on to the next item.
I'll be calling item 5B, approving the interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln and the City of Lincoln Lancaster County Railroad Transportation Safety District to reimburse city for the construction of a concrete pedestrian sidewalk and related sidewalk crossing on the north side of Old Cheney Road and west of 6th Street.
Madam Chairman, members of the council, Roger Feigert, Executive Director of the RTSD, and I'm also here tonight representing and supporting LTU. The City of Lincoln has entered into an agreement and has hired a private contractor to construct sidewalks along the north side of Old Cheney Road from about Hunts Drive west over to the trail in Pioneers Park. The RTSD, the railroad will also then have to install the crossing panels in the sidewalk area on their tracks. The RTSD, via this agreement in which they approved on June 27th of 2022, the RTSD is offering to reimburse the city for the full cost of the work that the railroad has to do on their right-of-way, putting in the panels and the permits and fees, and also then reimbursing the city for the cost of the sidewalk and driveway concrete that's on the railroad right-of-way, and the city is then paying for the sidewalk work outside of the railroad right-of-way to connect up to the trail and back over to the sidewalk closer to Hunts Drive. This is not a new agreement, but the RTSD interlocal agreements expire after 1 year, and the previous ones expired, so we're back asking or offering to reimburse the city for that work, and I'd answer any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Feigert. Would anyone here like to speak in support or opposition of this item? Okay. We can move forward.
I'll be calling item 5C, approving the labor contract between the City of Lincoln and the Lincoln M-Class Employees Association for a term effective August 18, 2022 through August 31st, 2025.
Hello, Barb McIntyre, Human Resources Director, 555 South 10th Street. This is a 3-year contract. The highlights include going to gender neutral language, which we've been trying to do in all our contracts as we renegotiate, and then wage increases at 3.5 for 2022, which would be effective August 18th, 3% for 2023, and 3% for 2024. And we did add some language in there. Under special or exceptional circumstances, we can give employees a 2% or two-step increase based on those special circumstances when warranted.
Does anyone have any comments or questions for Director McIntyre?
I do. Is it possible to get a red line of this compared to the old contract?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Most of these, that'd be ideal for us to review. I don't like reading through the whole contract to find one change.
We can send that down. That's not a problem at all.
That would be great.
Okay. Thank you. Would anyone here like to testify in support or in opposition of this item? All right, let's move to the next. Madam Clerk.
I'll be calling item 5D, application of Oxford House Lioncrest for a reasonable accommodation under Chapter 1.28 of the Lincoln Municipal Code to allow 14 unrelated disabled persons to reside together as a family, as that term is defined by the Lincoln zoning ordinance on property generally located at 1923 B Street.
All right. Is the applicant present?
Attorney?
Is their attorney present?
Or the planning director.
Or the planning director? Or our city attorney? Oh.
City attorney.
Okay.
They're asking for a minute, right? Bill.
Yeah.
Johansi Christie, City Attorney, 555 South 10th. I believe that the applicant's attorney has submitted a request asking to continue this matter until August 15th.
All right. Well, thank you.
I think it was via email.
Okay.
So
I had heard something, but I did not see that email. We'll take it up in the voting session. Though the applicant is not present, it was listed on our agenda today as an item, and so we will hold the public hearing today for those folks who have come today to speak either in support or in opposition of the application of Oxford House Lion Crest for reasonable accommodation. So you have 5 minutes. The buzzer will ring at 4, letting you know you have 1 minute left.
My name is Chelsea Akenberger. I live at 1716 B Street, apartment 1. Working the past 15 years in the field of social work has given me access to the housing options and current housing conditions of individuals that live with disabilities. I've also seen the stark difference between options in Minnesota and Nebraska, where our state currently fails to provide quality, affordable, and accessible housing to our neighbors with disabilities. Individuals can't get well without housing. Individuals do get well when they are empowered to address their challenges and while their basic needs are met. The Oxford Home model does just that for individuals who live with alcohol dependence, which impacts them physically and mentally. We need more adaptable and holistic housing solutions. For me, that includes options like the Oxford House at 1923 B Street, just down the street from where I live. I know the squalor individuals who live in group homes like Bel Air Homes and Prescott Place, and they have to pay their entire checks to live and be treated as less than a human. So perhaps if models like the Oxford Home empowered residents in forming a communal living situation around their wellness, and that group homes could also provide support and care for individuals. However, it has been my experience that those forms of housing have not adequately supported individuals in the smallest ways, let alone on their pathway to recovery and wellness. Empower our fellow residents of Lincoln and support the Oxford Home. As a neighbor, this is what I want to see for a stronger and more resilient community. That's my testimony.
Thank you, Ms. Hagenberger. We do have 2 microphones, so if someone who would like to speak next wants to approach the next microphone, we can keep things rolling along.
I have a handout here that's 18 signatures from our block on 26th and Washington Street. My name is Mark Broman. Last name is Brohman. I live at 2637 Washington Street, and I'm here supporting the neighbors that are opposing the Oxford House. The city thinks it has to accommodate the applicant. The applicants failed to prove their request is reasonable. The city needs to make reasonable accommodations. That's true. The city needs to table this action tonight, but I see it's already being pushed back, so that's good. And they need to develop conditions. This is the beginning of a major issue in near South neighborhood. We've got a house that was just purchased down the street from us on 26th and Washington on the corner of 27th. It's an MAK property, and last week you approved 2 of those. I didn't know about those until it was too late. I came down to that hearing, so I wasn't able to testify because I came in late. So anyway, so we're here to support the neighbors a couple blocks away, 6 blocks away from us. Some of the conditions I think the city should put on this type of a living condition. One is no more than 2 adults per conforming bedroom. That means that bedroom needs to have a closet and all the other things, not putting people in a laundry room, not putting people in a sunroom. That's what they're planning to do in the house in our neighborhood, and that's what it looks like they're doing with 14 individuals in this place. There needs to be 2 fire exits per floor, including the basements. What if there's a fire like the fraternity over at Wesleyan a few years ago? Does the city want that blood on their hands? Does the person want the liability that owns this property? The electrical service needs to be updated. This house was built at the turn of the century, not built for 14 individuals. Fire suppression system should be beyond smoke detectors. Twice per week garbage service. Right now it's required to have once per week, but I think it should be required twice per week when you have 14 individuals creating garbage at that site. And also potentially it should be ADA accessible. Maybe they should be fully ADA accessible. That's what they're trying to come in under, is an ADA exception. So let's make it an ADA accessible facility. An argument could be made that they're discriminating against residents who don't have a drug or alcohol dependency. So if you want to play the game of being discriminatory, can they discriminate against a drug and alcohol dependent person who's in a wheelchair because they're not ADA accessible? Should this facility be ADA accessible? I think it should. They're claiming to fall under the ADA Act, so they should follow it themselves. Where is the data supporting saying that 14 recovering addicts is optimal? I would think that 4 or 5 people in a home would be more optimal rather than throwing 14 people into a situation like this. The Oxford House lease agreement, number 13, says, lessee shall keep no domestic or other animals on or about the leased premises. But this violates the ADA Act that requires landlords to allow comfort animals and service animals. So their lease shouldn't say that no animals are allowed. There should be those exceptions in there. Rent for this property is going to be $3,100 a month. Is that reasonable? If they truly cared about the residents and that this is a family, they shouldn't be renting. Their rent should be closer to maybe $2,000 or maybe a little bit more. But I think $3,100, this is a money-making opportunity. Item 10 in the lease, it says, lessee shall be responsible for arranging for and paying all utility services required on the premises, including trash. But the city code 8-32-205 requires the landlord to provide trash service once per week. And that again is in their lease. They've also noted that each resident is responsible for their own food and cooking. Can you tell me how 14 individuals are going to store food and cook at the same time in a house? The 2050 comp plan has a couple notes that I thought were worthy. One says that we should preserve, protect, and promote the character and uniqueness features of the urban neighborhoods. It also notes that building code requires for the rehabilitation of existing buildings should protect the safety of the building occupants. So again, I think we need to protect these 14 people. I think that's way too many people. 14 people living in a 5-bedroom house, that's 3 people per bedroom. That's probably a worse situation than when they were incarcerated. This house has between 2 and 4 bedrooms. The Planning Commission report said 2 bathrooms, and the assessor has 4 bathrooms. So somewhere between 2 and 4 bathrooms, but that's at least 4 people per bathroom. Can you imagine in the morning when those folks are getting ready for work? Because these folks are trying to get back into the work style. So I think, is that a 1-minute warning?
Yep,
okay,
1 minute.
I'm just about done. So I think that 14 people getting ready in either 2, 3, or 4 bathrooms doesn't make sense. This house is not wired for 14 residents in a modern world with all their electronic devices. I see a fire hazard and the liability to the city and to the landlord. I see the owner of the property is Jan Bean, who lives in Hickman. How responsive do you think she will be, or her LLC? They purchased 8 houses recently in Lincoln in the last 3 years, 4 of those in the past year. Are these other houses going to be similar to this? They're much smaller, so maybe or maybe not. 3 years is not a very long track record for this landlord or this company, this LLC. 14 recently paroled men governing themselves will be like Lord of the Flies. If you ever saw the movie or read the book, I think that's way too many people in a house. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Anyone else to speak in support or in opposition?
My name's Jess Giesecke. I'm at 1200 South 20th Street. I'm here just as a resident of the Near South. For 22 years, I've had the privilege of calling the Near South neighborhood my home. I moved into my first apartment as a teenager before purchasing the multi-family dwelling next door with my partner about a decade later. When looking to move to the Near South, I actually toured one of the apartments at 1923 B Street before settling on a slightly cheaper and less charming place over on C Street. I chose this neighborhood because of the many affordable housing options, the diversity, mature trees, the walkability, the close proximity to downtown, grocery stores, shops, parks, services, public transportation, and bike paths. Of course, like many others, I adore the architecture of the beautiful historic homes and I've been lovingly and very slowly restoring my own. What I value most about my neighborhood, though, is not the beautiful old homes, but the wonderful neighbors that I have in every direction. I'll be completely honest. Standing here today after about a dozen of my neighbors have already very publicly expressed their opposition to allow reasonable accommodations for the Oxford House residents to reside at 1920 Reese Street is totally out of my comfort zone. I felt that this was important, though, that I come here and stand up for what I believe, and that is, I believe every human being should have access to safe, clean, and affordable housing. This includes individuals struggling with physical and mental health challenges, disabilities, substance use disorders, and even people who have served time in correctional facilities. Simply put, individuals do not get well when they do not have a home. They do not get well living on the streets, in a vehicle, in a homeless shelter, or in a toxic household. They do get well when they have safe and supportive accommodations, and I believe that's being provided to the residents at 1923 B Street. I first learned of the Oxford home on B Street back in February when several neighbors expressed their opposition on the Uplink app. I've paid very close attention to this house ever since, and I've observed some things. I've observed that there have been no issues with parking. I know that that was brought up when residents showed up to the Planning Commission meeting. There has never been a congested parking situation on B Street, and I haven't noticed that there has been too many vehicles parked on 19th Street either. I think sometimes 19th Street gets more congested to others, and I believe that is due to the apartments that are over there, as well as another Oxford house that's located close by. But I haven't seen any parking problems over on B Street. I haven't seen an abundance of visitors coming and going, and I walk my neighborhood several times a day with my dogs. I've walked by this place, early morning, mid-afternoon, late at night, and I'm not seeing, it's not a party house. There's not, people coming and going constantly. The yard's been kept up. That's something that wasn't necessarily the case with the previous owner. This has been a single-family dwelling, but I think it was a group of college students that were living there before, and the snow would go unshoveled, the yard wouldn't be kept up, we had people parking across the sidewalk. I've seen none of that since these residents have moved in. I don't believe we've had any uptick in crime. These guys have been there since February. I haven't noticed anything. I kind of, pay attention to the police activity and the Uplink app, and I don't think that, we've really had issues with them. This house is being used as a single-family dwelling. It has been deconverted from apartments. It's a very, very large home. There's plenty of space in here. And I believe it's enough space for 14 individuals to comfortably live. It actually wasn't until this afternoon that I stopped by to drop off some welcome to the neighborhood goodies from a group of neighbors did I actually have the opportunity to meet the residents. I chatted for a few minutes with Troy, an Oxford House support worker who offered to introduce me to the folks living there and eagerly invited to give me a tour of the home. I noticed immediately how spacious, clean, and well cared for this place is. The men living there seem happy, comfortable, and very busy. Again, this is a large home. I believe it can easily accommodate 14 men. What I saw was tidy bedrooms. I think there's actually 7 of them. I didn't count, but it looks like there's 7 usable spaces per bedroom. I believe they have proper space, there's legal egress, and I don't see why reasonable accommodations should be denied for these individuals that are trying to get well.
That was your 5-minute.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sakay. If anyone else would like to testify, please come down.
My name is Dean Cole. I live at 2644 Washington Street, Lincoln, Nebraska. And I'm imposing to this that's being discussed today. I think to make the city aware here too of when they talk about family and closeness and everything, already we have one with what they call Michael's house has moved in right next door at 2648. And already when these people had moved in, now Michael's house is not affiliated with this home, but something for the city needs to be aware of. We have people currently living there now, and they are already getting this place prepared for having a number of people, I guess up to 14 in that house. The problem is when they come in, they did not introduce themselves at all to the community or anybody. And currently, even right now with 3 people there, there is no supervision whatsoever. I had an incident where one gentleman who happened to be located in the wrong location had to go to another location, and he come to my place panicky because he only had so much time. The point I'm getting at is I said, who's in charge for you to get help? I mean, I'm going to help you, and we ended up helping him because we had a pickup, and all he had was a bicycle, and we had to take his tote bags of 4 items and take it to this home. But there was nobody there to help him, to give him any kind of support. So when I hear a lot of this family stuff, there was no support on that end. Now, I can't speak to that on this other house, but the concern that we're going to have especially, is this going to be parking issue? Now, I know this lady here mentioned that there's no parking issue yet, but they're not up to their full capacity yet. They're at 8. Already in our area on Washington Street, which is already a through street, and you have 27th Street, we're already having, just with 3 people, a parking issue going on there because there's no parking allowed in front of the house on 2648 Washington. So what you have when they come in, either when their family or friends come to visit or people that pick them up for work, they park in the no parking area. So when people come off of 27th Street turning onto Washington, you literally have a little traffic jam and a safety issue going on there. You especially have it then too when we have people that come and pick them up for work. So when you have had people there, what we've had where some of their friends have been there in the morning and in the evening time, parking in a no parking zone. It's the person who comes that's there because they're using these folks to work on construction jobs. We've had it where their vehicles have then been on the main part of Washington Street parked. And literally we've had, I counted 4 cars the other night backed up from on Washington Street eastbound to 27th Street that couldn't get through. We had then 2 other cars trying to turn off of 27th onto Washington Street. Were backed up because they're waiting for these folks to get their equipment out of the trucks and all of that. We're going to have an accident in that area too because of this traffic issue. Also, I just want to bring to people's attention too about that we may already, our fire and EMS folks are overwhelmed. Again, having so many people congested in one area is going to impact that. But the main thing I think what the city's got to be watching and really looking for here is we're a neighborhood, and so is B Street's a big neighborhood, and everybody knows everybody. And folks will be and we've been nice to these folks, but folks rotate in and out we in or out all the time. And some of these folks, we just need to know who they are. It's part of our neighborhood. Every home on that Washington Street's owned by the residents that live there own that home. So here we're going to have folks, what we call family next door, that's going to be rotating in and out. And I think it's right for the neighborhood that we need to know, even on, on B Street, who folks are that's coming in and out there, because it's all part of a neighborhood. So anyway, I just wanted to address that. The other thing too is what really frustrated me is when we were first told that it was going to be a college students going to be moving into the place, and our mom and dad had purchased it from Omaha. We went over to introduce ourselves the day they took ownership, and we met the owners. They never had we sat there and told them, we will be glad to welcome these folks and introduce them in the community, their children. They never had the professional courtesy to tell us that this was going to be a group home. And so, I mean, I'm willing to get along and all that, but there's just some bad signs here that's coming up referenced in this that I think we need to be looking at in the future before we're doing a lot of these approvals. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Cole? Okay.
Yes.
Just kind of help me with the landscape. How far away is 27th and Washington from 19th and B?
How far would be 27th and Washington, 19th and B? Let's see, that's your, what, 8 blocks, from us.
So, like about a mile?
A mile, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's under a mile, would be about between a mile and a half.
Okay, thank you.
And then also, we have other, on Washington Street, I think we have 3 other group homes on Washington Street from 20th, to our area, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Serena Freet. I live in the Near South neighborhood on C Street. I'm here today to ask that you support this reasonable accommodation. I think a couple of things, right? So the Near South neighborhood is actually made up of at least 80% renters, right? And so much smaller portion of homeowners. And, people don't seem to be as concerned about who their neighbors are when they're renters. And so this accommodation that we're offering in this home at the Oxford House is a really wonderful opportunity. It's a non-carceral, sober living environment where people get to heal and live in community and be supported by one another. And as it is mentioned, the house is giant. It's a ginormous home. It's beautiful. The folks that live there are very nice, very happy to have them in the neighborhood. And I think a lot more folks really are very pleased to have them and to see these types of options in Lincoln that support a housing need that is so very greatly needed. More folks in the house, I'm assuming, distributes the rent a little bit more equally, making it even more affordable. Healing and sobriety happens and is supported in community, always. It can't be done alone, and it also requires a good place to live. And with that, I just want to ask you to please support this reasonable accommodation. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Does anyone have questions for Ms. Freet? Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
down. Is there anyone else who would like to testify this afternoon?
Hello, my name is Jason Abels. I live at 1200 South 23rd Street, which is the near south, just a couple of blocks down the hill from this Oxford House. I'm here today to speak in support of this and all other efforts like it in our neighborhood and anywhere else in our community. We are facing nationally and right here in our own city multiple public health crises. In addition to the surges of COVID that aren't ending anytime soon, spikes in substance abuse, mental health, addiction, overdose. It's everywhere. And we have spent decades pursuing criminalization, stigmatization, punishment as an approach. And it hasn't worked. And we still spend endless amounts of money on it and never ask our leaders to be accountable for those failures. This is a small ask to let someone live in a neighborhood that's 80% renter. I think we should keep that in mind as we talk about what the neighborhood is. It's been 60 years, I think, since the council made the changes to allow slip-in apartments and conversions. So we need to look and make an honest assessment about what our neighborhood's capacity is and what the best use is. If 14 people want to get together and live in a house, try to help themselves and help each other when nobody else will. I don't know who I am or who you are to stand in the way. We have a uniquely situated neighborhood. We have everything you need with or without a car to live and thrive. We've got a grocery store, pharmacies within walking distance, bike trails, public parks. You come downtown, you've got public library, university, some limited employment opportunities, the best access there is to our public transportation system, everything you need to live a life and start over. The Near South Neighborhood Association has been quite vocal in this, and I would just like to point out that they are a small group of homeowners that are seemingly more concerned with their property values than with their actual values as people. We're talking about people here. They're not addicts. They're not criminals. They're just just trying to live their lives and they mind their own business. I have 5 of these within 3 blocks of my house, and I didn't even know that until recently. Like many of the people that testified at the Planning Commission meeting, most of my neighbors didn't know these folks were here either. And I don't know if there's a stronger bit of evidence to suggest that they're not a problem for anybody. I'm not going to address parking because I live in the near south on an intersection that has cars up and down both sides, both directions, all the time. If we could get a few street signs, by the way, in our area just to slow some traffic down, that would be fantastic. But truly, these people are not an issue. The people I've talked to, and I've been asking for 3.5 weeks, every neighbor I've seen. Do you know these folks? Do you have a problem with these folks? Have you ever had any incidents? And the answer is no. In fact, the closer you live to these houses, the more likely you are to say, no, they're great neighbors. They keep up on their properties. They just live their lives and mind their own business. And I think we should support them at every possible turn.
Thank you, Mr. Wibbles. Does anyone have questions? All right. If there's anyone else who'd like to testify on this item, please come forward. And if you haven't come forward yet, but you think you will, please approach the second mic and we'll just keep this moving along.
Hello, hi, my name is Allie Christensen and I live at 901 D Street. I'm here today as a neighbor. Wasn't quite expecting this, so I'm wearing an organization t-shirt, but I'm sharing here with you today just as a neighbor in Everett neighborhood, which is just a few blocks away from the proposed housing. And I'm here to encourage you to vote in support of this reasonable accommodation. As others before me have shared, I too believe that everybody deserves safe, affordable, and dignified housing. And as a renter for the majority of my time, I've lived across the street from a reentry home or a home like this where folks can heal in community. And to those who may be concerned about not knowing their neighbors, they live there. And it is on us as a community to get to know the folks we live next to. And as another person before me shared, we know that the folks in these homes, they're wonderful neighbors. I'd also like to just add that Near South neighborhood is a majority renter neighborhood at 94 to 95%. So with this density of renters, having the short-term stay is quite normal. And when we get to know folks, we feel safer in our neighborhoods. And, you know, we have an increased sense of community and a reason to stay a little bit longer. Also, just want to share that just a few blocks away, there was a PUD or a planned unit development that the Lincoln City Council voted on as part of the South of Downtown Redevelopment and Strategic Plan. That was last February. I can't believe it's been a little over a year, but that allows for co-op housing. So where folks who are not family members can live with more folks together. And I don't think that this being just a few blocks away should prevent folks from seeking that community healing and really just living here and being neighbors. Are there any questions that you have? Okay. Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks, Ms. Christensen.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sydney Butler. I live at 409 North 25th Street. I am here today. I wasn't here for this. I was here for something else, but I felt called to speak in support of our neighbors who are just looking to, start their lives over. And I lived in this neighborhood, actually, like basically across the street for about 3 years. I lived directly across the street from another group home that whole time and never had any issues. The people who lived in the group home were nothing but kind, pleasant, compassionate neighbors in our neighborhood. I often saw them spending time in the park that was near our apartment, cleaning up after other people who, would litter or not take care of our neighborhood. These are the people that I saw out, making sure that our neighborhood was welcoming and safe and a good place for all of us to live. They were always kind and, very sweet when I would talk to them, while I was outside walking my dog. I never had anything but positive interactions with the people that lived in the group home. So I just would like for you all to continue to support bringing these people into our neighborhoods and helping them as they start to, try and move forward from the issues that they've experienced in the past. Any questions or anything?
Any comments or questions for Ms. Belger?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming down.
Hi, my name is Kieran Kistler. I live at 2044 Jefferson Avenue. I was not planning to testify, so I am chewing gum. I apologize. I am a homeowner, and I live across from a current Oxford house over in the Antelope Park neighborhood. I think a lot of people have said this, but they have been nothing but wonderful neighbors. I walk my dogs quite a bit, often late at night after work, and knowing that there's always someone on the porch or available in that house has made me feel safer. And quite honestly, on a very personal level, I've had family members that have gone through Oxford homes, and that gap between treatment and like full reentry is a really difficult time for folks. And by far, my family members that have gone in the Oxford homes have handled that transition in a much healthier way because they're supported by community. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Kistler. Anyone else this evening? I would also like to note that when the applicant has asked for the continuance until August 15th, when the applicant arrives on that day, we will also have a public hearing. So the public hearing will be continued. If no one else is interested in coming forward to speak in support and opposition, we will move on to the next item. Madam Clerk.
I'll be calling item 5E, approving an interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln and the County of Lancaster to provide a facility equipped to operate a civil protective custody unit in the City of Lincoln.
Is there a staff presentation on this? If there is someone on the staff to speak about this, that would be good. City Attorney, Mr. Christie.
Johansi Christie, yes, City Attorney. I was making sure that no one else was coming up. I am here. I am always here. Yeah. This is interlocal agreement that I'm sure all of you are aware of. It is agreement between the city and the county to operate a civil protective custody unit. It is a city-owned property. It's agreement with the, again, city and county for the county to use funding to help reconstruct the facility so that it can operate as a civil protective custody unit. I believe this has gone in front of the county board, I think last week, but the county board did approve it. The plan is to use county ARPA funds for this purpose. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councilman McGinnis.
So better turn on my mic. So this is going to be a joint venture, or what is this? This is interlocal that will be run by a group, Civil Protective Custody Working Group. This is the first time we've been able to see this. This interlocal just came out Thursday. Was the first time we were able to see it. Sounds pretty good. I still got a lot of questions in here. And is the city putting any funds towards this?
No. Well.
No.
I mean,
Hello, Chief.
Yes.
Hi. I wanted to help out on this. Really, the idea for this facility is to to provide what we're going to be missing from the bridge, but also in addition have wraparound services so we can do it the way it should be done, which means that if somebody comes in on a DUI or for some other reason, that they actually get interconnected with services from the city and the county. And so it's very important that we do it this way because, you know, honestly, if people are coming in and they are repeat offenders, let's just say, then we want to get them the right services. Give them the opportunity to get into a program and have that conversation with those that are going to be our providers. Not police officers, but people that are there, that are professionals.
Go ahead.
Again, I'm still just getting into this to start with, but it says the city will retain ownership of the property, and the city at city's expense will procure maintain any insurance policies or other items related to the improved properties and furnishings. So the city will be having some expenses on this.
Right, it continues to be a city property.
Okay. So we're not leasing it to them, there's no agreement.
So I think
the protective custody group.
So the plan would be to contract with an agency that can provide the civil protective custody services, and then the funding is to construct the facility in a way that it can operate as a civil protective custody unit.
So it'll be this group will be the ones that will be looking for the service provider?
Correct.
To operate the protective custody?
Yes.
Is that correct? And they will work for them, I guess? It would be a lease between them and who?
Well, it would be the city and the county, and just to before the way that it operated before for many years, and I'm not even sure how long, but there was actually the bridge had a contract with both the city and the county to operate the civil protective custody. So it would be the same model.
Whoever the service provider.
Correct.
Will have a lease with the county and the city? Or
Yeah,
will
it's
they-
yes.
Is it a building lease or a service lease or?
It would be a service lease.
I'm gonna, just one moment. Councilman Shob, I think you've.
I'm sorry, yeah.
That's okay. We'll come back to you. But Councilman Shob, I think you had some questions or comments?
Similar question.
Mhm.
Similar questions. The bridge provided CPC, Civil Protective Custody, to both Lincoln Police and the Sheriff's Department. Is that true?
Correct.
Not only us, but is the Sheriff's Department, NSP, UNL, Crete, some other cities outside of Lincoln as well.
And this interlocal allows the county to give us some funding to renovate the building where these services can be offered again, so they can use the building and other agencies outside our county.
Well, we haven't gotten to that point, but yes, it'll be city and county agencies. We haven't gotten into the conversation yet. Obviously, we want to partner with all local law enforcement and really, you know, kind of take up where the bridge has left off. Obviously, we have a deadline of September 30th, and so it really is. You know, when that ends, we're going to be able to help other cities besides our own, as well as counties.
And so this interlocal agreement lets the process begin.
Yes.
And this will go out for bids for someone to renovate. We'll have an architect design plans. It'll go out for bids, and it'll follow the regular process of any other.
Regular process, yes.
So this is the first step.
Yes.
Now, at this point, I have to apologize. Councilman McGinnis, former Chair Ward encouraged me to engage in this group. I had that information, and I failed to share that with you. That's on me. I apologize to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. That's on me. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think and if I may, I mean, I think the interlocal right now, it has language about the lease shall include a requirement service provider contract with other state and local enforcement agencies in there, and so I think that would be it's the ultimate plan going forward.
Go ahead, Mr.
It looks like it will only be a portion of the garage, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And that has been defined as? I guess is what, there's a nice highlight.
Oh, yeah.
Saying it will be this, but I guess.
It's a quarter of the garage. We're still utilizing the rest of the garage for the police department, but it'll be separate. It just is going to be in the same building. It's going to be a very private location for loved ones to come in and get their people and really kind of connect them again to services. It's about, right now we're consulting with Centerpoint, and we're hoping that that relationship continues, and that because they really do want to look at it in a holistic way, getting the families involved as well as the individuals that might be under the influence. So it's really about privacy at that point, in my mind, because there is enough room for them to do what they need to do and do it the right way, if that makes sense.
All right. Thank you, Chief Ewens. Thank you, City Attorney Christie. Does anyone else have comments or questions?
One other. Before us today is the interlocal agreement. Will there be other opportunities for us to see this as a council and vote on the process as it proceeds? Process proceeds, that's the same thing, isn't it? Will we have to approve a contract in the future? Will we have to authorize expenditures, things like that? Can you provide with us that answer at a future date?
I do believe that, depending on how it's structured going forward, that yes, there will be other opportunities.
I was
just thinking about a formal vote, but yeah,
I was trying to cover my butt for the mistake I made earlier.
I know, I understand.
And tell him he'll get another chance.
I know why you asked the question.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig myself out of this hole I'm in. Yeah.
Okay.
That was going to be my next question. Are we giving all authority to sign leases and everything over to this board, this interlocal board?
So we actually, and I think it has in there that it has to be approved. The lease still has to be approved by the council. So at a bare minimum, yes, there will be
other opportunities to win.
Other opportunities. We'll have to bring agreements back in front of the council that would need to be approved by. And I think the interlocal should have that language in there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I kind of thought so.
Yeah. I think this would be, based on the amount of conversation we've had just this evening, I think that it would be good to have another full briefing for council, maybe a pre-council on this as you proceed past reconstruction or rehabilitation and you get close to a service agreement.
And I do think, again, I do think it would have to come back to the council for a vote. So, yes.
Yeah. We're all very interested in this. Thank you. I will open it now to public testimony. So if anyone would like to testify in support or in opposition to the creation or this item, a creation of a CPC unit, please come forward. All right. We'll move on to the next item. Madam Clerk.
I'm calling item 5F, approving the interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln on behalf of Bureau of Fire Prevention and Douglas County, Nebraska on behalf of Douglas County Sheriff's Office for Forensic Services.
All right. Is there someone to, Good evening.
Hard to get a Southeast night guy up.
Thank you. My name is Bill Moody. I'm the chief of the Fire Prevention Bureau division within the city of Lincoln. Basically what this is an agreement between ourselves and Douglas County to do our trace analysis of our fire debris. Nebraska State Crime Lab used to do it for us, and that division shut down in that agency, and so we had to seek out someplace else to do our forensic analysis. And I looked around the country a little bit, and some of the private labs were extremely expensive. I reached out to Douglas County and had a conversation, and it seemed like it was the direction that we needed to go. So that's what this is all about.
All right. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Moody, Chief Moody? All right. Thank you for
waiting around.
All right. Yeah, for finding the cheaper alternative. Would anyone like to testify in support or in opposition of this? All right, let's move on.
I'll be calling item 5G, approving the interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln, Lancaster County, Nebraska, and Nebraska Department of Administrative Services to procure copying, printing, and mailing services.
Welcome.
Jeff Kimball, 440 South 8th Street, City of Lincoln Purchasing. This agreement, excuse me, is a relationship that started in 2014. The DA asked to provide multiple mail print services to the city and county. Started 2014, renewed in 2018, and we were again looking to do this contract again for another 4-year period. It's shared between the city and county. Roughly about three quarters is allocated to the city and the rest of the county. Any questions?
Any questions? I see no questions here.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to testify? Thank you, Mr. Kimball. Madam Clerk.
I'll be calling item 5H, approving agency agreement between the City of Lincoln on behalf of the Lincoln Police Department and Leads Online to support its investigations.
Welcome back, Chief Ewens.
Thank you for having me. Should I spell my name and stuff? Teresa, Teresa, last name Ewins, Chief of Police, 575 10th Street. So Leads Online is an important tool. Lincoln has been doing it since 2018. It's really to keep track of really stolen property and the people that are bringing in to pawn shops property that may not be theirs. It's helped a lot when it comes to investigations. It saves time for officers to have the system in place, because otherwise we'd be having to go to every single pawn shop, and that takes time, a lot of time for officers to be going around not only in Lincoln but also outside of Lincoln, because people know that if they want to evade being detected, a lot of times they'll go to Omaha or outside. So 4,000 persons of interest have been tagged because of the system. 2018, it helped in identifying a homicide suspect that brought property in, and we're able to locate that person in Texas. It actually also assisted in one other homicide. You know, the stolen property, everyone knows that burglaries are up, stolen vehicles are up, and that means property is being taken from vehicles. And so pawn shops are the easy part of going and getting quick money. And so it's very important that we continue this work. In just 31,000 tickets in the last 12,000 months, and tickets meaning that people are bringing property into pawn shops, consisting of 58,000 plus items and 117,000 images. You know, as far as a tool goes, the forensic part of this is really being able to see who's coming in and constantly bringing property in. That property is not something that they necessarily have at their home. It's that most likely they're taking from friends, family, or being stolen. And so when we have let's just say a unique item like a ring that you might have gotten from your grandmother, great-grandmother, those are unique items. And so when we get that snapshot, it can be identified by victims. And you know, coming from the Bay Area, we find these people that are buying stolen merchandise, and when they get caught, they basically open a warehouse, and you have to go and see where your loved one's items are, that were taken from you. And so it's very important that we do it this right way, and Leads Online gives us that. Persons of interest that we know that we're looking for, checking out pawn shops, and this Leads Online helps us find them. You know, when was the last time that they brought in items? A lot of times, people that steal items are only stealing. They're also engaged in other criminal activity. So this allows us to be able to have an important tool for our investigators, save time in trying to solve crimes, and doing it the right way. Questions at all?
I don't see that we have any questions. I know I was trying to make eye contact. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Would anyone like to testify in support or opposition of this item? Seeing none, we'll move toward voting. Madam Clerk.
Can now vote on these items. I'll be calling item 5A, accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for July 1st through July 14th, 2022, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Shob. I believe we also have a motion to amend number 1 on this item.
I can read the.
That is.
Would you like me to
we
read the
can-
motion?
We can hold. We may have a. I don't know if we have a counter motion on that one.
Well, I'd like to move motion to amend number 1, which last week, or I believe it was last week, we had removed Jamie Lynn Moore from the denied claims so that it would be added back in. So I think it's just an administrative motion to add it back in.
Okay.
Second.
Second, McGinnis. Any conversation? Seeing none, let's call the vote on the motion to amend to reinstate Jamie Lynn Moore's claim onto the denied list.
Bowers?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes. Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Job?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right. The main motion.
Bowers?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Job?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right. Next item, please.
I'll be calling item 5B, approving the interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln and City of Lincoln Lancaster County Railroad Transportation Safety District to reimburse city for the construction of a concrete pedestrian sidewalk and related sidewalk crossing on the north side of Old Cheney Road and west of 6th Street, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
McGinnis, second. Any conversation? All right, let's call the.
Bowers?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Shob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5C is approving the labor contract between the City of Lincoln and the Lincoln M-Class Employees Association for a term effective August 18th, 2022 through August 31st, 2025. Introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Second, McGinnis. Any discussion? Call the question.
Raybold?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Shob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5D is the application of Oxford House Lioncrest for reasonable accommodation under Chapter 1.28 of the Lincoln Municipal Code to allow 14 unrelated disabled persons to reside together as a family, as the term is defined by the Lincoln zoning ordinance on property generally located at 1923 B Street, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Second, McGinnis. Councilman Shob. Oh, no, Councilman Bowers, pardon.
No, you're going.
I would like to make a motion that we delay this for 3 weeks with a continuation of public hearing.
Second.
Second, Raybold. All right, let's call the vote on the motion to delay for 3 weeks.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Shob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right. We'll move on to the next item.
I'll be calling item 5E, approving an interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln and the County of Lancaster to provide a facility equipped to operate a civil protective custody unit in the City of Lincoln, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Shob. Any discussion? Yes.
Sir.
Yeah, this is a good thing. This is something that's needed. We need to move fairly quick on it. I was just hoping that we would have had a little more detail instead of the last 3 days to review this until now. I'm going to vote for it because I like it. I did find in here in the agreement that the city will lease the improved property and for the state and local law enforcement agencies serving within the city of Lincoln and with the consent of the mayor, the county board, and the city council. So we do get another shot at this.
Yep.
To at least look at the details of how they're doing this. The only thing I want to make sure that if I'm it's on record that the city is going against the comp plan in doing this, because that is in the comp plan to be residential in the future. South Haymarket comp plan, that's to be residential. So the city is going forward in contrary to that. So just want to make sure that's part of the record.
Understood the need to bring that up. I know that on one of the other meetings that we had, it was discussed, and certainly this was an emergency fix situation to make sure that we didn't get to October 1 without a CPC facility, and I expect in the next few years that we will be able to find a permanent solution than what we are creating right now. Permanent meaning really long term, yeah, as opposed to for the next 3 to 5 years or so. So, all right. Any other discussion?
He said it all. I screwed up.
Then let's call the question.
Schob,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5F is approving the interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln on behalf of Bureau of Fire Prevention and Douglas County, Nebraska, on behalf of Douglas County Sheriff's Office for Forensic Services, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Second, McGinnis. Any discussion? I'd just like to note again that I really appreciate Chief Moody looking for the more reasonable fiscal alternative and finding it in Douglas County. Let's call the question.
Schob,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5G is approving the interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln, Lancaster County, Nebraska, and Nebraska Department of Administrative Services to procure copying and printing and mailing services, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Second, McGinnis. Any discussion? Call the question.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5H is approving agency agreement between the City of Lincoln on behalf of the Lincoln Police Department and Leads Online to support its investigations, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Second, McGinnis. Discussion. Call the question.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. That concludes our section 5. We can now move on to section 6, which is our public hearing ordinances, second reading, and related resolutions. I'll be calling item 6A, approving the agreement for lease termination between the city and Lancaster County School District 001, Lincoln Public Schools, to terminate the use by Lincoln City Libraries for leased space for a joint media center library located at Arnold Elementary, 5000 Mike School Street.
Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Glass, the Assistant Director for Lincoln City Libraries 136 South 14th Street. And I'm here to answer any questions you have regarding the lease termination.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Glass? Yes. Mr.
When
McGinnis.
is this lease to be terminated?
It will be terminated in June of 2023.
Okay. We plan on being in.
In the new facility by then, yes, we do.
Okay.
That we are on point for that.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Glass?
Thank you.
Richard
right.
stole my question.
Okay. Would anyone like to testify in support or in opposition of this item? All right, let's move on.
I'll be calling items 6B through 6J, 6I together. And then shortly after that, I'll be calling items 6J, K, L, and M together. Item 6B, amending the pay schedule for a certain employee group by adjusting the schedules of annual, monthly, biweekly, and hourly pay range equivalents for employees of the City of Lincoln whose classifications are assigned to pay ranges prefixed by the following letters: N, A, C, B, F, X, E, and W.
Barb McIntyre, Human Resources, 555 South 10th Street. And those are the negotiated pay increases for everything from N through F. And then X and W are our unrepresented. Both of those are at 3.5. I don't know if we had shared with you that that was the amount we were recommending or not. I can't recall. So.
Does that conclude your presentation?
That's it.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Director McIntyre?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be calling item 6J, amending the pay schedule for the employee group whose classifications are assigned to the pay range prefixed by the letter W by creating the classifications of Employee Engagement Division Leader, Talent Acquisition Division Leader, Total Rewards Division Leader, Human Resources Information Systems Analyst, and Chief Communications Officer.
So all of these positions are in the W classification, part of the management team. They are not adding new staff, but repurposing positions that exist. 4 of them are for human resources. And then the last one, the Chief Communications Officer, that is actually like upskilling the Public Information Officer in the Mayor's office today to give them a broader scope and dotted lines to the other Public Information Officers we have within the departments. Do you have questions about those? I can go into more of that.
I actually have a question about that last item, Director McIntyre.
Sure.
I did notice the upgrade, and I did want to just clarify that right now the communications leader in the mayor's office coordinates the communication from the mayor's office primarily. And then there are many departments that have their own public information officers or communication leads. And so now the job would be that the communications leader in the mayor's office would also have responsibility to help coordinate communications across all city departments?
Organization. Correct. And then another piece of this is today that position sits in the M classification, which is under a collective bargaining agreement, and really they have access to all kinds of, I'm going to say the word privileged might not be the right word, information that we really want to move them out under that W range, which is those unrepresented positions. So we're trying to do 2 things with that.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That mean it would become a director, an at-will employee?
The W's are unrepresented, but they're not at will like the DSS, like myself. So not quite all that way there yet. So.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Would anyone here like to testify in support or opposition of any of these human resource items? This will be all the items 6B through 6M. Seeing none?
Okay.
If there are no more questions,
I still will need to read in the following items, 6K, L, and M.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and do so. Item 6K is amending the employee group whose classifications are assigned to pay range, which is prefixed by the letter W, to change the title of Human Resources Coordinator to Senior Human Resources Business Partner. Item 6L is amending the pay schedule for the employee group whose classifications are assigned by the pay range which prefixed by the letter W by changing the title and pay range of class 1320 from risk manager in pay range W02 to risk management division leader in pay range W03. And item 6M is amending the pay schedule for a certain employee group by adjusting the schedules of annual, monthly, biweekly, and hourly pay range equivalents for employees of the city of Lincoln whose classifications are assigned to pay ranges prefixed by M.
All right. So the offer still stands if anyone would like to testify. Seeing none, thank you very much, Director McIntyre. And we can move on to ordinances, third reading.
I'll be calling item 7A, and ordinances third reading and related resolutions. Item 7A is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 22009, application of the Urban Development Director to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster Comprehensive Plan and to approve a proposed amendment to the University Place South redevelopment plan by adding the 48th and Aylesworth redevelopment project to include approximately 115 market rate residential apartment units, the property generally located at North 48th and Aylesworth Streets, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion?
Real quick.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a good thing, and I always enjoy when individuals are willing to invest in our community, and especially in more housing,
Here, here.
even if it is in North Lincoln.
Ouch. Try not to geographically something. All right.
Like most of what he said, leaving them.
Except
the
that
last
last
line.
little piece. All right. Yes, let's call the question.
Raybold?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7B is change of zone 16016A, application of 48th Street Development LLC to change from B1 Local Business District and R2 Residential District to B3 PUD with associated waivers on property generally located at North 48th and Aylesworth Street, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Raybold. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair, you remember when Mr. Loudon was here last week, you asked him a question? Do you remember that?
Now that's putting me on the carpet.
It was about vouchers.
I did. Just a second. I'm going back through my notes. I did ask about vouchers. Is Director Marvin? There he is. Thank you for the reminder, Councilman
I
Schob.
think it'll come in handy in a few minutes.
Yeah. All
Dan
right.
Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. The question is?
I did ask about vouchers. I wanted to know if
We believe that we can get that incorporated within the redevelopment agreement, which will be coming to this body shortly.
fantastic. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Let's call the question.
Bowers?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7C is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 22011, declaring approximately 0.56 acres of city-owned property generally located at South 27th Street and Woods Boulevard as surplus. Introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Raybold. Any discussion? Let's call the question.
Bowers?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7D is Annexation 22007, application of Southview Inc. to annex approximately 26.45 acres, more or less, of property generally located at Rokeby Road and Friedman Streets. Introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Jane Raybold. Discussion? Let's call the question.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7E is change of zone 2201 on 9, application of Southview Inc. from AG Agriculture District to R3 Residential District on property generally located at Rokeby Road and Friedman Street, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second?
Second by Councilwoman Raybold. Discussion. Call the question.
Bowers.
Yes.
Raybold.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7F. Text Amendment 22004, request of CL Construction LLC to amend the Lincoln Municipal Code Section 27.72040, maximum height and minimum lot requirements for the H districts to amend the rear yard setback requirement for the H1, H2, and H3 zoning districts to allow a 5-foot rear yard setback with not abutting residential. Introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second?
Second by Councilwoman Raybold. Discussion. Call the question.
Raybold.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7G is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 22008, declaring approximately 1.20 acres of city-owned property generally located at the southeast corner of North 27th Street and Layton Avenue as surplus. Introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second?
Second, Raybold. Discussion. Call the question.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Raybold.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7H is change of zone 22015, application from urban development to change from R2 residential district to RT residential transition district on property generally located at the southeast corner of North 27th Street and Layton Avenue, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second?
Second by Raybold. Discussion. Call the question.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Raybold.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7I is use permit 22005, application of urban development to allow for development for up to 20 residential units and 15,000 square feet of commercial floor area with waivers to setbacks, minimum lot size, and parking requirements on property generally located at the southeast corner of North 27th Street and Layton Avenue, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second?
Second by Raybold. Discussion. Call the question.
Schob.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Raybold.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 7J is approve lease agreement between City of Lincoln and Larry Wolf for the lease of space by Aging Partners for personal and family services program at 137 North 8th Street, Geneva, Nebraska, from August 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second?
Second by Raybold. Discussion. Call the question.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Raybold.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just a note for folks that our budget cycle means that next week we will have a budget hearing, items 8A through 8S and item 9A, and the following here in this agenda will be called as a package for presentation and testimony next week. That will be held again on Monday, August 1st. The budget hearing begins at 3 o'clock or soon thereafter. Madam Clerk.
Section 8, resolutions, first reading are items 8A through 8S. Section 9, which is our ordinances, first reading and related resolution, is item 9A. Section 10 is our pending list, items 10A.
All right. Anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on the agenda this week and not plan to appear on a future agenda may do so in the open session that will begin after a break. We will come back into session at 20 minutes after 7, which is 12 minutes from now. Welcome back to open public comment. You may speak on any item that's not on the agenda tonight and not scheduled to be on a future agenda. You have 5 minutes. There'll be a buzzer that rings after 4 minutes, letting you know you have 1 minute to go. Welcome.
Thank you. So howdy y'all, my name is Andrew Futius. I use him as pronouns. I live at 18th and J Street. I work as a community organizer with Nebraska Appleseed and Collective Impact Lincoln. Collective Impact Lincoln is a partnership between Civic Nebraska and Nebraska Appleseed that supports resident-led investment in positive change in Lincoln's 6 core neighborhoods. Through canvassing, community events, and community builder workshops, we help neighbors examine their community's strengths and identify new ways to improve. Most recently, our focus has been on housing advocacy in Lincoln, specifically source of income protections for renters. Source of income discrimination housing is when a landlord refuses to rent to a potential tenant only because of how they would pay their rent. Most often, this impacts families who would use a housing voucher to pay for rent, though it also impacts single mothers who rely on child support and families who rely on Social Security or disability income, among others. Housing choice vouchers are a critical tool in helping low-income families establish stability and escape the cycle of poverty. Banning source of income discrimination would mean that landlords couldn't turn away a potential tenant just because of how they would pay rent. As of January of this year, 20 states, including the District of Columbia, and 115 local jurisdictions have outlawed source of income discrimination, and we think Lincoln should join them. Some of the responses we hear against source of income protections include that housing inspections that they must endure are difficult and that tenants have no skin in the game when they use vouchers. In regards to housing inspections, these are readily available resources online available to the public that state what is necessary to comply with housing quality standards. Additionally, the Lincoln Housing Authority follows the requirements for minimum housing quality standards by Housing and Urban Development. These are the bare minimum requirements needed to pass inspections, which includes everything from acceptable criteria for facilities to information about annual inspections. As for tenants not having a personal investment in their apartments, if someone else is paying your rent, that is just not true. The investment is housing. You know, people want to retain the housing and stay where they are living. Some tenants will wait years to have a voucher, have to pass background checks. Generally, you know, they have to have a track record for being a good renter as well. Vouchers recipients have to jump through hoops in order to get their vouchers, and they are generally invested in maintaining their voucher and thus their housing. We have also heard stories from renters who work directly with their landlords and go down the list of requirements so that they are ready in time for inspections, and that way they're able to ensure that they have safe, affordable housing for themselves and their families. Lastly, Lincoln has the opportunity to learn from what other cities are doing in terms of ensuring greater resource protections for residents. One example comes from the Metro Housing Collaborative in Omaha, which they have an organization that offers rental incentives to landlords and offers a $2,500 risk mitigation fund to landlords in case of property damage. After speaking with staff at their group, we learned that this fund has rarely been used by landlords, but serves as a great incentive to join the program. Having resources like this, in addition to a source of income ordinance, can bring greater support for equitable housing in Lincoln. Overall, we work for housing, and housing should really be working for us too. This includes protections from source of income discrimination in Lincoln. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Farias. Does anyone have questions? Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Ian Edgington, and I am here to talk about the same issue, housing affordability, focusing on rentals. So I'd like to start with a little bit of history. In 1776, Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations. It is considered a cornerstone of modern economics. In chapter 11, Smith wrote that the landlord leaves the worker, quote, with the smallest share with which the tenant can content himself without being a loser, and the landlord seldom means to leave him any more. So now we'll skip ahead a few centuries to May 22nd, 2022. The Flatwater Free Press published an article called 3 Years Ago It Didn't Exist Here. Today, an Ohio company is one of Omaha's biggest landlords. I recommend finding this article. It's really informative, and it deals with how an Ohio-based company called Vinebrook Homes is buying up low-income neighborhoods like North Omaha and raising rent 30 to 50% on the inhabitants. In fact, they're just evicting people so they can flip the houses and get them ready for these higher rents. I tried to find, it does not look like Vinebrook Homes is in Lincoln, but I can guarantee there are companies doing the exact same thing. This is a national issue. So the reason I brought those two things up is they are 250 years apart, and they basically are the same story. We are trying to get as much money out of renters as possible so landlords can make profit. And our lives are just getting harder. Gas is up, milk is up, and inflation is currently at 9.1%. Taxes, love them or hate them, are also going up. I've owned my house for 5 years, and its property value has gone up 40%, not through anything I have done. I take good care of my house, but that is now an extra $90 a month I pay through my escrow. So all that stuff is going up, but wages are not. I work for the university. I have a good job. I have a good career. And I've been told by my management that I'm getting a good raise of 3%. But when I say inflation is 9%, that means I'm getting basically a pay cut of 6% in my buying power. So as a citizen of Lincoln, that means I'm going to spend less money going out to eat, home renovations, and all of that. So if you think the economy is based on me spending money, it's going to come to a screeching halt. But I am not unique. That is a lot of people. It's not just great university employees. It's teachers, it's nurses, it's everyone. We all have less money, and that's why housing affordability is so important. It's a multifaceted issue. It's going to take more than probably we can accomplish as just a city council in a city. It's a national thing. But there are things we can do to help Lincoln. The first is to ban source of income discrimination. Needing to use housing vouchers should not be a reason that someone cannot get a house. The second one is proactive rental inspections. A good landlord shouldn't have anything to fear from an inspection. If they're taking care of their property, it shouldn't be an issue. I live in Clinton. I'm proud of my neighborhood. I walk it all the time with my dogs. Apparently a lot of people walk their neighborhoods with dogs. That's what I've learned today. But I become really frustrated when I look around and I see poorly maintained rentals. I mean, that's on the landlord to take care of things. My wife and I use Uplink and with the Lancaster GIS, you can look up to see who owns it. But landlords need to be held accountable for these properties. The landlord's profits should not come before people's quality of life.
1 minute.
So we also need to create more policies for affordable housing, whether that's a whole development or just parts of development. That needs to be taken into consideration. And like these apartment complexes that get put in, if you can do things with vouchers, like we just talked about a little bit, that's a great start. And so I'd like to end with kind of a cliche that I keep coming back to when I think about this issue, and that is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. What happens to low-income families that get priced out of their homes, which is what's happening in Omaha? What happens to kids who grow up without stable housing? What happens to Lincoln if we don't act? Creating change now before we hit a breaking point helps us and helps Lincoln continue to grow in a way that benefits us all and will ultimately cost less. Thank you. I'll finish filling this out real quick.
Thank you, Mr. Edgington. Next.
Hi. While I'm waiting for Mrs. Microphone, good evening.
Good evening.
It's only
Welcome.
my second time here, but do you say no to anything? I'm kidding. And I just wanted to mention, this might not work for everybody, but it works for me. And so I'm approaching this. My legal name is Vincent Litwinowitz, Vincent Litwinowic as in Charlie, Z as in Zulu. And so as far as my presentation, I come at it from a different perspective. By the way, I'm glad I got a 6% raise through my Social Security disability. Anyway, when I came here, and then I was looking, I broke up with my partner, and I was looking for some place, actually, on the internet, and I found one place. And what I'm assuming is for disabled people, mobily disabled people, it's very difficult to find housing. And so, I'm kind of free, I'm doing this, but I understand the renter's problems, right? In fact, one time the baseboards, a couple of them fell off. It wasn't a major problem, I know, because I renovated, habitat and all that, so I'd put them on once a year, And there was an electrical outlet when I moved into one place that wasn't there, so I just put something in front of it, because I just moved in, and they were just coming to look. I'm just giving you a little insight on problems. And landlords, they have a lot to spend on if they're good, and it is a problem. But anyway, when I finally got a place after I split from my partner, it was great. It was nice until the next development company came in. And here's another problem, because I never spoke about this before. I don't mean to depart so much from these folks, but when NP Dodge, I'll mention names specifically, they were great. And in particular, there was a manager there that was really good. We all rely on individual people, in certain circumstances that are present, that have more qualifications than they need to be there. And so she was, had mental issues too, like myself. And so she would, the president housing, across from the Capitol, it was what I'm talking about. And so she would, there was this person there with schizophrenia, and she handled her, sometimes she might have some beer out, where she shouldn't, and she'd take care of it. And so anyway, when the new development and management company came in, I'm going to mention it, Excel Management and Development Company, and I want to pass the show and tell, okay? Because I didn't have a chance to do this because I wasn't doing so well at this time. I had a lot of issues. Okay, and what I'm about to show you is this is okay. Normally the folks in our building, we would go to the we would take our garbage out by the shortest route, right? We have people with canes, wheelchairs. And so here's an example. I wish I had the other one. Here's the president apartment. So I take it, after Excel Management Company moved in, they showed a route that people should take to take out the garbage. Now, if you look at the source of where you would leave the president, which is on the west side of the building, you would have to go around the other building to get to the dumpster, where's the end of the red line, okay? And so, and if you would look, I would love to pick the scab, I really would. I couldn't do it at the time. And then the ambassador next to it, I don't have that one because it was in the other building, but it would go out east from the opposite doorway of the president, and it would go around building to the back. I'm assuming the suits, from the Capitol, somebody mentioned that they probably didn't like, seeing people, the poor people and disabled, maybe even having problems, or they didn't want to see them, as much. And so if it went around the building and went back around the building, that it wouldn't be a big deal. But anyway, this management company actually started targeting people. And I don't know how many people actually basically. Okay, I don't have much time. So the person with this schizophrenia, right? She had a case manager. She was being helped out. Okay, that's fine. She broke the rules, right? But and I can't really speak to individual people in certain situations. But the fact is, what the management company did, they didn't refuse, they didn't evict her, but they wouldn't sign her housing paperwork. And that's where I kind of I had a hard time with that, and like I said, problems with myself, and so they didn't evict her. But those kinds of things, I presume, happened a little more than I would have. There was other targeting incidents, and we all breathed drywall dust when they were renovating the president. The ambassador, they put him into the hotel for the whole time, and so there's more anecdotal information I can give with respect to that if anybody's interested later. But anyway, so okay, it's time. All right, maybe I can finish at some other time because there was more relevant information. But thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Mr.
I still don't have any idea what time means because I do this sometimes at the Capitol. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lenowitz.
All right.
Hi, my name is Sydney Butler. I live at 409 North 25th Street. I'm a case manager here in Lincoln for people experiencing homelessness due to domestic violence. The program that I oversee provides a rental subsidy for my clients as they work towards getting back on their feet. And while my work informs my testimony this evening, I am not here on behalf of any organization. I am just here on behalf of myself. I'm here again to ask that you introduce and support a ban on source of income discrimination. Currently, there are so few landlords in Lincoln that work with people who are receiving a Section 8 voucher or another housing subsidy that those who do accept them know how desperate people like my clients are. And it often feels, at least, like they take advantage of that feeling, that desperate feeling that my clients and people who work in my field have. More than one of the people that I'm currently serving have been waiting weeks or months for important repairs to their homes. This includes broken windows and air conditioners on days where it's been regularly over 100 degrees outside, and largely my clients are vulnerable, so that's health issues and other issues that are really greatly impacted by not having, secured windows and air conditioning when the heat is as it's been. But that also includes ignoring requests for treating units that are infested with roaches, bugs, and mice. I have one client in particular who's been asking for 2 months to have her unit sprayed to no avail. These landlords know that my clients and others like them have very limited options for housing. I've been a renter in Lincoln for almost 10 years. I've rented from private landlords, property management companies, and large corporations, and I have never been treated the way that my clients are treated by landlords. I know private renters, my friends, people I work with, other people I interact with who are also renting from some of the same landlords that I alluded to previously, and they've never been treated the way that my clients are treated and the way that other people like my clients who receive housing assistance through a voucher or a subsidy are treated. So the only logical conclusion that I can draw is that the difference between myself and my friends and my coworkers and my clients is that some of them receive a subsidy or a housing voucher and the others are paying rent on their own. So this empowers landlords to treat tenants with a subsidy differently than those of us who are fortunate not to need a subsidy. I love Lincoln. I love living here. I moved shortly for about a year and I came right back because I love being here so much. And I think that everybody should get to call Lincoln home. And so we need to make Lincoln safe and accessible for all of our residents, and I think that banning source of income discrimination would be a really important step towards making Lincoln a great place for all of us to live. That's all. Any questions?
No, but thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Chelsea Agenberger. I live at 1716 B Street, Apartment 1. I'm here for public comment as a resident. Yeah, I mentioned before that I've worked a number of years in the field of social work, and I've been a case manager and adult guardian, and I've really seen the barriers, as we just heard before too, that there are is to getting affordable, quality, accessible housing, and I saw that happen for a number of my clients. And I would agree that the common denominator was the fact that these individuals were receiving some kind of subsidy or public assistance. So I do think that the city in Lincoln needs to take a big step towards making housing more affordable and rental housing. People are struggling. I see it every day on my block. I see it everywhere I go in this city. And if they don't have a place to live, how are they ever going to be able to reach their full potential? We know that we all do better when we all do better. That's a quote from Paul Wellstone. And I think it's really important that we recognize that there is a role that the city can play in affordable housing. And I think a major step forward is by banning these source of income discriminations and ensuring that folks who are, paying for housing with housing vouchers or have Social Security or bad credit still have access to housing. When I was a case manager, I know a number of times our only option was to call on the regular slumlords of Lincoln to see if they would possibly rent to our clients. And they were renting units with bedbug infestations. They were renting units that had mold, and their health continued to suffer. I also think that, yes, that proactive rental inspections is necessary. I've seen the number of units, whether we're talking about ones that accept housing vouchers or not, that do not live up to code, and landlords are not taking the necessary means to ensure that these places are quality. I would also mention that Lincoln has its own Vinebrook, and Aero Capital seems to be buying up a lot of property under Night Rebels LLC. And so looking around our city, we know that people are making money off of people suffering. And so how can we come together and really support each other? And I think we have a number of folks here today who are really asking the city to take the steps that other cities have taken to ensure that affordable housing is something that is accessible here in Lincoln, because right now it's not. And I'm really fearful that we'll end up like many other cities around the country where folks are living on the streets, and that already happens here in Lincoln, and the city pays to sweep them out, move them on under the guise of safety. But folks aren't safe when they don't have affordable, accessible, quality housing. And I do know that there are things that we can do. And so I hope that you all will work with us in taking steps towards these tools to make affordable, quality, accessible housing here in Lincoln a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eichenberger. Welcome.
Hi there. My name's Mark Freehoff. I'm just setting a timer so I don't go over here. I live in Lincoln. I didn't come to talk about what everybody else is talking about, but I will mention that I don't think landlords or tenants are to blame for the inflation. I think that's federal monetary policy, huge, massive federal spending, and using fiat money to pay for it. It's a tax on everybody, and that's the biggest reason. I don't argue with some of the other points they've made about improving quality of housing, but as far as why things are more expensive, that's why. Now I'll get on to why I'm actually here. I'm really concerned about your chair, Tammy Ward, and I'm really surprised nobody else is talking about this. Driving under the influence of alcohol, really unbecoming of a council person, especially the chair of your council. Lincoln should expect more out of its officials. We're lucky that nobody was injured by Tammy Ward's irresponsible and illegal actions last month. I'll read just a portion of the Lincoln Journal-Star article on it. Ward 63 had been westbound on Surfside Drive when she struck a parked vehicle, continued further down the street. Nearly a block after making contact with the parked car, Ward's Toyota left the roadway, striking a mailbox, continuing east before colliding with a tree. Officers discovered evidence of alcohol use. in air quotes, I don't know what that means, conducted a blood draw, the results of which are pending. We now know it was .114. Ward's heavily damaged Toyota was towed from the scene. Area resident told the investigators a camera on his house showed Ward's vehicle traveling well above the posted speed of 25 miles per hour when she lost control of this Toyota. Ward told investigators she had 2 glasses of wine at a dinner Tuesday night and said she was prone to seizures, according to the report. Investigators noted Ward was under the influence and ill when she crashed. She said she didn't remember anything. So that's kind of the facts out of the Lincoln Journal. Now, I know she says she's prone to seizures, and I don't doubt that, but while that might have played a factor in the collision, did Tammy Ward's proneness to seizures make her blood alcohol level .114 is the question. And of course it didn't. She chose to drink and drive. Furthermore, should someone who is prone to seizures and knows it be drinking excessively and then let alone driving afterwards? Tammy claims she had 2 drinks. I checked a chart. I'm kind of using some guessing here, but I'm thinking it's more like 3 or 4, probably more given the amount of time before she had a blood test. If you have been watching lately, and I know you have, there's an uptick of crime in Lincoln. How can city government expect to be effective against crime when their own members are breaking the law? So I guess in closing here, the honorable thing would be for Tammy Ward to step down. And I'm sorry to say that, that's just the honorable thing for her to do. She has clearly displayed she can no longer be an effective member of city government. You as her colleagues should also do the honorable thing by recommending to her it's time for her to step down. Have any of you done that? I asked that rhetorically. I know I'm not supposed to ask you questions. Why haven't you? It's nothing personal, but obviously she has some personal issues going on if she's drinking excessively and driving. If I know anything about alcohol issues, this probably wasn't the first time either. However, now that has led to legal issues since the drunk driving and the crash, and by God's grace, nobody else was injured. She needs to take some time to herself, step down, and take care of herself. It's the right thing to do, and I think Lincoln should expect no less. So thank you very much. Any questions?
We have no questions.
All right, I'm just going to write my name here.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Where's the trash at? Because that's where this needs to go. They say Mark of Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Yet here I am. Ready. Good evening, City Council. My name is Lou Bratz. I think I've said my address enough in this place, and you have it all on record. So we'll bypass that. I don't have any titles. The only one I think I'll take tonight is a concerned Lincolnite and a father. And I'm here tonight because I'm disappointed. This year's been a very disappointing year for a lot of people in this town for a lot of reasons, and part of my disappointment is in each and every one of y'all. I won't get into all of the reasons, but I will get into a few. I'll start with stating that there could be no deep disappointment where there is not deep love. My deep love is for this city, for the people that are within it, struggling to get by, for the planet that we all live on. That deep love is only surpassed by the love I have for my children and the want to give them a better future going forward. My disappointment with y'all in 3 areas I'm going to speak with specifically quickly on each one of them, is I came to you 5 months ago. And I said September will be Hunger Awareness Month. More than likely we'll see a bunch of ads. Am I already good? I'm going to see a bunch of ads. We'll see some lip service. We might even see a selfie or two from some people in political power. But I asked y'all to really consider taking Lincoln a step forward as you claim that you want to deal with climate change, you want to deal with food insecurity, by instituting a food recycling program. I've watched the budget hearings, watched just about every city council meeting, sit at home. I didn't even hear a mention of it, not even a thought of a study. Disappointing. Especially as one gentleman referred to the 9-point plus recession, 9-point plus inflation we're in. We're in the midst of a recession. This kind of program will help the people that are still starving, regardless of what our president wants to say about there's not lines for food boxes anymore. Bullshit. And those lines will get bigger and longer as this recession continues. I'm also disappointed in the city budget. I know that I'm supposed to speak on this on August 1st, but I cannot be here. At 3 o'clock is when most working folks still are having to take care of things. I saw in there that the StarTran is getting a little increase in this budget, but also included in there is that you guys are going back to looking at fares, maybe adjusting them, but reinstituting them back in. And if you really want to help out both the people of this city and the planet itself, you should keep the StarTran fares free. You should include it as part of your budget, and you should take into account going forward that one of the best ways to relieve environmental impact of the climate coming into this town and everybody moving around it, and also the financial burdens that many are starting to feel even more so, is by giving one of the best ways for working class people, students, and the elderly to get around town to be free. The last thing I'm actually disappointed in is this, and this has nothing to do with y'all. It's a decision made higher above, but y'all could do something about it, because I see a lot of interlocal agreements going on, a lot of deals going on between y'all and a bunch of different departments, different cities and states, et cetera, et cetera. All of y'all know the bottom line is there's a whole bunch of, there's a whole bunch of students that now are going back into the school year, and their parents are wondering if we can afford to pay for their lunches. Because now federal government's decided that those on free and reduced lunches, or those that are asked to pay high price, all of that has been reinstituted. So I would ask that you guys make some kind of interlocal agreement, start budgeting for the fact that in this city no child is going to go hungry. We all talk about how the children are our future, and we all know that a hungry child is not an attentive child. So going into an interlocal agreement with Lincoln Public Schools to cover the cost of lunches on a year-by-year basis is something y'all should at least be considering and talking about. These are the 3 reasons I'm disappointed that I'll point out tonight. I'll speak about others if y'all want to later. But while I'm disappointed, you also have to remember the words that we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose our infinite hope. My hope still is not lost for a better Lincoln for everybody, not just some developers. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bratz. Anyone else this evening? Seeing no one else.
I second.
Raybold, McGinnis. Call the question, please.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
We are adjourned.